In this technical demonstration, we're going to examine the account unlock and self-service processes from within the portal. Before we do that, however, it is important that you note that Active Directory, especially in Active Directory situations, you are going to need to configure your group policies for the account unlock and password resets. So what we're going to do here is I've opened up my group policy management editor, and we're going to take a look at a couple of options here that we've already set. So as you can see here, I have password policy, account lockout policy. These are the two that we're going to be working with. Let's take a look at the password policy first. Now, obviously, the first thing we want to make sure that we do is we have to have a minimum password length and a minimum password age, as well as a maximum password age. So these would have to be set. Now, they are already in place and they've already been set. We do have complexity built into the requirements, so that's not an issue. That's a default measure. Let's now go back to the account lockout process. Now, in this case, I've made this modification. We've got the account lockout duration for 10 minutes after 3 failed attempts. And the reset is set at 10 minutes. This is for training purposes. Generally, this will be 30 to 60 minutes as a customary measure. In some cases, it may be longer. In some cases, it may not be set at all. But for this particular purpose, it would reset that process. So now that we've got these configured within our Active Directory environment under group policies, let's go ahead and go back into the portal. And now we can go through the process of configuring this. Now, this is going to be configured under the policy. This has nothing to do with any specific resources that we have. This has everything to do with our policy. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse some of these options, and we're going to go to policies. We're going to go to the default policy. Once again, you can have multiple policies in the environment. We're going to continue working with the default policy. We'll go over to user security policies, and you'll notice that I do have several options here to work with. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go under user security policies, and we're going to go to self-service. Now, under self-service, we do have the ability to password reset. We're going to touch on that here in just a moment. But I'm going to scroll down here to the account unlock option. We're going to go ahead and enable this, and we're going to enable it for Active Directory users. This will give the user a self-service process to unlock their account if they happen to forget their password or their account has become locked. So in order for this to be facilitated effectively and securely, we do need to apply an authentication profile. So let's go ahead and do that here. If the account has simply been locked and the password hasn't changed, we can go ahead and use the Omicron MFA option. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, keep in mind, with Active Directory, if we're going to use self-service settings, we do need to use a set of credentials to facilitate that modification of unlocking the account. We can use the connector running on a privileged account, but since the privileged account is a Centrify Directory Services account, then it wouldn't be able to have the permission set to make those changes in Active Directory. So we're going to go ahead and use a domain admin account for this. And once again, I'm going to use Alex Foster. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and click Save. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to switch over to an app server. And we're going to lock Kim Rogers' account. So as you can see here, I've switched over. I'm going to try to log in as Kim Rogers. And I'm going to purposely enter her password in incorrectly. And now, as you can see, this particular account is currently locked out and may not be logged into. Now, I'm going to switch back over to my Centrify system, and I'm going to open up my Active Directory users and computers. And we're going to go find Kim Rogers to verify that her account is locked. Now, I can see that the account is currently locked out, and I can simply check the box and click apply, but that's not what we want to do here. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do this from the portal. So now I'm back in the portal, and I'm logged in as Alex Foster, and I've gone to my access menu under users, and as you can see here, Kim Rogers is currently in a suspended state. This is indicative of her locked account. If I try to log in as Kim Rogers, and we'll do that now, I'm going to be prompted for an authentication method. And this is because of the fact that her account is locked. If I go ahead and click Start Over, and let's log in as someone different, Joe Miller, for example, I'm not prompted for the MFA component. But because Kim Rogers' account is currently in a locked state or suspended state, we do need to make that modification, and Kim Rogers can do that on her own. Now, obviously, we can come in at this point and we can perform an MFA unlock, but we're going to let Kim take care of that on her own. So let's go ahead and we'll log out as Joe Miller, and we'll log back in as Kim Rogers. Since we do know that her account password didn't change, she just simply locked her account for some reason or mistyped her account password, we can go ahead and enter it. We will be prompted for the security questions. And as you can see, she's now unlocked and able to use the portal. If we go back to the Active Directory Users and Computers MMC and look at Kim Rogers once again, you'll notice that her account is now unlocked. So at this point, we've addressed the unlock related issue. What we didn't address is why was it locked in the first place, and this is generally because of a lost or forgotten password. So what we can do within the policy in the portal is we can enable the password reset, and we can do that for Active Directory users. Rather than use the default password reset profile, however, we're going to go ahead and create a new one. So let's go ahead and create a new profile. Now this is just another authentication profile. We've seen this earlier in a previous technical demonstration. So we're going to call this one Omicron MFA, and we're going to call this one Unlock Password Reset. Now, under the challenges, we're going to go ahead and go with the security questions, and we're going to prompt for 3. We'll go ahead and change the pass-through duration to 0 or none. Press OK, and now we have a new authentication profile, and we'll click Save. So now that we have this in place, let's go ahead and go back over to Kim Rogers. Now her account has already been unlocked. We've already established that part of it. But now she can't remember her password because we reset it. So now she can go back and reset it again. So she can click on Forgot Password. She'll be prompted for the authentication method. In this case, it would be security questions. And we'll click Next. And now she has to supply answers to 3 security questions. Once that's been satisfied, she can now enter in a new password. And now the password's been changed successfully, and now we can re-log in as Kim Rogers. Without issue. So as you can see, we can provide some self-service components through the portal for users who do not have privilege. They simply have the ability to lock and unlock their account.